Welcome back to Inherited Dawn, a One Piece podcast, the show where we break down the grand line one chapter at a time.
Today we are on chapter 74, Small Bugs.
And Robin, I gotta say, this chapter title feels like a punchline to a very cruel joke, because nothing in here feels small, especially not the moment where Nami drives a knife into one of our crew.
It's one of those moments that redefines the stakes of an entire arc in a single action. The title itself is a reflection of Arlong's worldview. To him, everyone who isn't a fishman, especially humans, are just insignificant insects to be crushed underfoot. The chapter is an exploration of that chilling philosophy.
Absolutely. It's the kind of gut punch that makes you question everything. This whole journey is about finding your crew, your nakama, and chapters like this really test that foundation. It's not just about fighting the bad guy, it's about navigating the emotional minefield that comes with truly trusting other people. If you're building your own crew and don't want to miss a moment of our journey, make sure our signal reaches you by subscribing. You don't want to be the last to know when things get this heavy.
Let's get into it. The chapter opens right where we left off, with Usopp captured in Arlong Park. The atmosphere is immediately suffocating.
Right, and Arlong immediately puts it together. He's not just some mindless brute. He sees a beaten-up Usopp and instantly connects him to the earlier attack. He realizes Usopp isn't just some random guy who watched up. He's bait, and he assumes it's for him. He even boasts that since he has the highest bounty in East Blue, of course a bounty hunter like Zoro would come for him.
Which is such a perfect Arlong moment. It's our first real look into how his mind works. He sees the world entirely through power and price tags. To him, Zoro isn't a person with convictions or loyalty or a dream of his own. He's just a bounty hunter, a professional after the biggest prize. It's a purely transactional worldview.
Exactly. He can't comprehend that Zoro is here for Nami, for the crew. It doesn't even enter his calculus. He thinks it's all about money and reputation because that's all he cares about. He's projecting his whole rotten worldview onto everyone else. It's the classic tyrant mindset. Everyone must be as greedy and self-serving as I am. They're just not as good at it. He's literally incapable of understanding the concept of nakama.
It also establishes a clear hierarchy in his mind. He dismisses Usopp as a small bug, but he respects the idea of a bounty hunter strong enough to come after him. It's not respect for Zoro the man, but for the threat level implied by someone targeting the top bounty in the sea. Arlong, for all his hatred of the system, still uses its metrics to judge his opponents. It's a fascinating contradiction. He despises humans, but validates his own power through their system's evaluation.
It's because it feeds his superiority complex. He's thinking even the strongest bug is still just a bug, and he's coming to my home. It makes him feel like a king. And while he's preening, Usopp is just stuck. The absolute terror on his face, man. Oda draws fear so well. You can feel the sweat and the shaking.
And Usopp, in the middle of all this, tries to lie his way out of it. He's terrified, but he still says he has no idea where Zoro is and tells them to let him go.
You gotta respect the attempt. I mean, come on. He's shaking in his boots, surrounded by literal sea monsters who just beat the snot out of his friend, and his first instinct is still to try a bluff. It's so fundamentally Usopp. It's his primary weapon. Luffy has his fists, Zoro has his swords, and Usopp has his lies.
And in a way, it's a product of profound courage. He's facing a situation where physical strength is useless, where his usual slingshot skills wouldn't make a dent, so he defaults to what he knows. The lie doesn't work for a second, but the courage is in the attempt itself. He's trying to protect Zoro by feigning ignorance, even if it's a transparent effort.
Oh, absolutely. He's not lying to save his own skin, not really. He's lying to protect a crewmate. He's trying to buy Zoro time, to throw them off the scent. It's a lie born from loyalty, and that's the most noble kind of lie there is in the Usopp playbook. But man, does it fail hard.
It fails completely, of course. Arlong sees right through it and moves to his next logical step. If the bait won't talk, make the target come to the bait. He decides to kill Usopp right there to draw Zoro out. There's no theatricality to it, no grand villain speech. It's just cold, simple logic.
It's just so cold. There's no emotion to it. It's pure predatory calculation. This small bug is useful to me, but only as a corpse. It really establishes the kind of merciless opponent they're up against. We've had villains before. Morgan was a tyrant, Buggy was a clown, Kuro was a schemer, Krieg was a warlord. But Arlong is a predator. He's a shark. There's no reasoning with him. He sees you as food or an obstacle, and that's it.
This is also where the power dynamic of the crew is laid bare. We see Chu and Kurobi standing by, ready to execute the order without question. This isn't a crew of equals like the Straw Hats. It's an authoritarian regime based on racial supremacy and fear, all centered around Arlong himself. His word is absolute.
And that absolute authority is what makes the next moment so tense, because when Usopp is about to die, he does the only thing he can think of. He looks for a friendly face.
And that's when Usopp, in total desperation, looks over and calls out to the one person he thinks is an ally in the room. He asks for help from Nami.
Oh man, and that is the worst possible thing he could have done for himself and especially for her. You can just see the gears grind to a halt in the whole scene. Everything stops and focuses on her.
It puts her in an impossible position. I remember thinking that Kurobi always seemed suspicious of her from the start. Her intelligence seems to make him wary. He views her as a useful tool, but an untrustworthy one. And her hesitation here, her shocked reaction to Usopp's plea, just pours fuel on that fire. Oda frames the panel so you see Kurobi and the other fishmen staring, their eyes locked on her.
The pressure is immense. It's like the air gets sucked out of the room. And Usopp, because he believes in his crew, because he saw her crying when she left the Mary, just makes it worse. He doesn't understand the game. He starts yelling at her, berating her for betraying Luffy. He's trying to activate her conscience.
He says that even now, Luffy still trusts her. That is the line that really twists the knife. It's a statement of faith from the crew he represents, but to the Arlong pirates, it's an accusation. He's essentially shouting, "This woman is one of them. She is a traitor to you."
He's trying to appeal to her heart, to the Nakama he knows is in there, but all he's doing is signing her death warrant. He's forcing her to prove a loyalty she can't afford to show. Every word he says is another nail in the coffin. He's confirming every suspicion Kurobi ever had. You can see Nami's face. She's not angry. She's terrified. She's watching her entire years-long plan crumble to dust because of Usopp's faith in her. The irony is just brutal.
She just calls him an idiot, and you can feel the weight in that single word. It's overflowing with subtext. He is an idiot for not understanding the game she's being forced to play. He's an idiot for putting her in this position. But there's also a deep sadness to it. He's an idiot for having a simple, unwavering faith that she wishes she could honor but can't.
It's heartbreaking, and then it happens. Right when the tension is at its absolute peak, when Arlong is looking at her with those cold, dead eyes demanding an answer, someone else shows up.
Hachi returns, and the timing is just tragically perfect. It's almost comedic if it weren't so horrifying. Hachi strolls in, all smiles and confusion. The juxtaposition is jarring. He's like, "Arlong, you're back. Hey guys, why are you all beaten up?" He has no idea what he just walked into.
He's so genuinely surprised. He asks who did this, and when they tell him it was the swordsman, Roronoa Zoro, Hachi's face just lights up with recognition. He's this big, goofy, friendly guy, and he's about to make everything 1,000 times worse.
And he says the one thing that connects all the dots for Arlong. He just blurts it out, totally proud of himself. "Oh, Zoro? Yeah, I know that guy. I just gave him a ride to the village. He said he was looking for you. I thought he was a guest."
The dramatic irony is painful. Hachi, in his complete innocence, just delivered the enemy right to Arlong's front door and is now proudly announcing it. He thought he was being helpful. It's such a brilliant piece of character work. It shows that not everyone in this crew is a monster.
Bro, Hachi, you couldn't have just kept that to yourself, just for once? It's hilarious and terrifying at the same time. Arlong is just ecstatic. The man he wants to kill not only has bait here, but is actively seeking him out. It feeds his ego perfectly. It validates his belief that he's the center of the world, that the strongest humans all gravitate towards him to be crushed.
It also shows a clear difference within the Arlong pirates. Arlong, Kurobi, Chu, they're cruel. They enjoy the power they wield. They are driven by a deep-seated hatred and a sense of superiority. Hachi just seems simple. He's not driven by that same malice. He seems to be a part of the crew more out of a sense of belonging or naivete than genuine evil. He's a follower, not a zealot.
Yeah, he's just a big, strong, six-armed guy who maybe not the sharpest tool in the shed. He's the muscle, and he seems perfectly happy with that. He then looks over at Usopp and asks who he is, which of course brings all the focus right back to the immediate life or death problem. The brief comedic interlude is over.
And this is Nami's moment. Her back is against the wall. Usopp has exposed her. Hachi has brought the threat of Zoro to their doorstep. The crew's suspicion is at an all-time high. She has to make a move to prove her allegiance once and for all. There are no more words that can save her, only action. She declares she'll kill Usopp herself, and she lunges at him. The paneling is so fast, so visceral. From Arlong's perspective and from Johnny's, who we see is hiding in the bushes watching this whole thing unfold.
From their perspective, she stabs him. Oda is a master of directing the reader's eye. He gives us the exact point of view of the onlookers. We see Nami's determined, almost cruel expression. We see the knife in her hand, we see the lunge, then we see a panel of Usopp's shocked face with blood splashing.
It's just a brutal, shocking moment. Oda designs it to be completely unambiguous from that angle. You see the motion, you see Usopp's reaction, you see him fall. It's designed to make your stomach drop. First-time readers at this point are probably thinking the same thing as Johnny. She really did it. She's a monster.
But there has to be more to it. It's a masterclass in misdirection and sacrifice. Whatever she did, it was designed to look like a killing blow, but something tells me she found a way to save him in the act of killing him.
I think she had to harm herself to save him. It feels like the ultimate expression of her character up to this point. She puts on this cold, cruel mask, a mask of betrayal, but underneath, she's willing to bleed for her friends. It's an act of loyalty disguised as the ultimate betrayal. The physical pain of whatever she did must be immense, but it's nothing compared to the emotional agony she's been enduring for years. This is just one more scar, one more wound she has to take for the sake of her village.
And then she shoves him into the pool. To the fishmen, the problem is solved. The small bug has been squashed. The traitor has been dealt with. The evidence is gone, and Nami has proven her loyalty in blood. They are completely convinced. Arlong even laughs, fully satisfied.
In what they believe is Usopp's blood, it completely solidifies their trust in her. She even doubles down, immediately reminding them of her goal, to buy back her village. She doesn't even let them process the murder. She immediately pivots back to business. She's playing the part so well. It's an incredible performance under the worst pressure imaginable.
But Johnny saw it, and he's not going to understand the nuance. He doesn't have our omniscient perspective. He saw a Straw Hat ally attack another Straw Hat. He saw the lunge, he heard the scream, he saw the fall into the water. He's going to report back exactly what Arlong and his crew believe to be the truth.
And that is going to cause a catastrophic misunderstanding. That seed of doubt that Nami planted when she left the Baratie is now a giant poisonous tree, and Johnny is going to carry that poison back to Luffy. That's classic Oda storytelling right there. The tragedy isn't just the fight, it's the broken trust along the way. The biggest wounds are often inflicted by words, not swords.
It's a perfectly executed plan on Nami's part, but with one unforeseen witness who will make everything infinitely more complicated. She saved Usopp's life in the short term, but may have just destroyed her relationship with the entire crew in the process.
It's just, she's carrying so much. The fate of her village, Usopp's life, her standing with the enemy, and now the perception of her own crew. It's an unbelievable weight for one person to carry, especially for someone so young, and she's doing it all alone.
Speaking of unforeseen things, Oda's author comment this week was interesting. He said, "Swing is going to be big this year. These snazzy gang rock tunes will be my background music for One Piece this year."
Swing? Like big band gangster music? Okay, I can actually see that for Arlong Park. It has that sort of gaudy, villainous lounge vibe, a real mobster hideout feel. You can picture Arlong snapping his fingers to a sleazy trumpet solo while counting his money. That's a fun little insight into his creative process.
It fits the almost mafia-like control Arlong has over the area. It's not just a pirate hideout. It's an establishment, a center of corrupt power. He's a racketeer, an extortionist. The swing music aesthetic adds a layer of swaggering, villainous confidence to the whole arc.
A really, really messed up establishment. And just as Nami is solidifying her fake position within it, the cavalry finally arrives. And they do not make a subtle entrance.
The very last thing we see is Luffy, Sanji, and Yosaku showing up. And Zoro is with them. They've all arrived at Arlong Park. The gang's all here.
And they don't just sail up nicely. They get pulled ashore by Momo, the giant sea cow they fought earlier. It is the most chaotic, ridiculous, and perfect Straw Hat entrance you could possibly imagine. They literally crashed the party. They weaponized a sea monster and used it as a speedboat. It's so dumb and so brilliant. I love it.
It's the official declaration. This is no longer a series of small skirmishes or espionage missions. The captain has arrived. The core fighting force of the Straw Hat Pirates is standing at the gates. The moment of reckoning is here.
And Luffy does not look happy. The final panel is a close-up on his face, shadowed with his hat pulled down low. He does not have a grin on his face. He's not here for an adventure. He's here to end this. This is the moment the arc truly begins. The board is set. All the pieces are in place.
It's the Straw Hats versus the Arlong Pirates. The battle for Nami's soul and for the freedom of an entire island is about to start. Everything before this was prologue.
Super! That's the only word for an entrance like that. The whole crew, finally at the front door, ready to kick it down. Let's go.
There are so many moving pieces right now, especially with Johnny's misunderstanding. If you have a theory about how that's going to play out or how the crew will react, leave it in the comments below. We'd love to read what you're thinking.
All right, let's get to predictions for Chapter 75. Robin, you go first.
Okay, my first prediction is that the next chapter will not start with the fight. It will start with the confrontation. Specifically, Luffy walking right up to Nami, ignoring Arlong completely, and asking her point blank what's going on. The chapter will be a tense verbal standoff, culminating in the help me moment.
Ooh, I like that. Delaying the action for the emotional payoff. Okay, my first one, the fights kick off immediately, but based on who's there. We're getting the matchup set. It's going to be Sanji versus Kurobi, the martial arts expert, and Zoro is going to square off against Hachan, the six-sword-style octopus swordsman. It's the perfect setup.
That's a classic. My second prediction is about Momo. Arlong, to demonstrate his power and mock the Straw Hats' grand entrance, is going to take out the sea cow in a single, brutal attack. It'll be the opening shot to show Luffy just what kind of monster he's dealing with.
A big show of force. I can see that. My second prediction is that we're going to see Usopp. Nami pushed him in the pool as an escape route. He's going to emerge somewhere else in Arlong Park, unseen, and he'll spend the next few chapters causing chaos from behind enemy lines, sniper style. He's not out of this fight.
I hope you're right. My final prediction is that we will get the full story of Nami's deal with Arlong. Through a flashback or Arlong monologuing, we're going to learn the exact amount of money she needs, I'm guessing it's 100 million berries, and see the moment the deal was struck with her as a child. We need that context before she can be saved.
Yeah, we need to know exactly what she's been fighting for all these years. My last prediction is that Johnny is going to find Zoro before the main fight begins. He's going to pull him aside and tell him breathlessly, Nami killed Usopp. She's one of them. This will cause Zoro to hesitate or be distracted at a critical moment when his fight with Hachi starts. That misunderstanding is going to have immediate consequences on the battlefield.
A conflict within the crew right as the battle starts? That would be devastating.
It's going to be heavy, but that's where we'll leave it for this week.
We'll see who was right next time on Inherited Dawn.